And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and then it's just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And after 400 videos, can I say it any differently? Probably not. So, welcome back to day 7 of my Battle Royale extravaganza. And we are going to talk about Boom 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 Get Loaded Guns, Akimbo. This movie is so funny as fuck, and gross as hell, and really cool all the way around. Now, Guns Akimbo was released in 2019. It was directed and written by Jason Howden, and it stars Daniel Radcliffe, Samara Weaving, and Ned Dennehy. A nice runtime of 1 hour and 38 minutes. Yes. So, this movie intros with the Schism virus live stream, where we get to see a match between Nyx, that is Samara Weaving, and Varim. And that's really cool. Sort of introduces you to the movie. It's sort of like a death race type thing mixed with regular battle royale. You know, I mean, there's no rules. You can kill with a car, kill with a bazooka, kill with whatever, and this movie is full of heavy machinery. Big guns, big cars, everything. So we are introduced to Miles. Miles is a mobile game maker who is so cute but pathetic. I would, of course, have to hold him down and shave that dog's ass beer fashion victim shit off his face, but otherwise, you know the score. You know, whenever I see that, I'm going to say something about it. So, because he's so frustrated with his life, he gets off by being a troll. Especially a social justice troll. Half of it, he doesn't even really believe it, but yet he does. I think that's like most people on the right and the left. They don't really believe it, they just want to fight. They just want to bitch. They just want to, I'm in the mood. Bring it on. What can I say to you in the comment to make you attack me so that we can go around? Yeah, that's, you know what trolls are. You know what they're with. They just want to fight. And he's one of them. He likes to do that. So he manages to get into Schism and begins trolling the Skim player. And it's so funny when he did it, because I can imagine all of these kinds of trolls, like the right-wing loonies and the extreme left loonies, like both of them, they probably do exactly like he did. It's almost like sitting down for dinner. He gets all comfortable, yes, we're going to go do some trolling, and so he gets comfortable, get you something to drink, get you something to eat, and let's see who I can piss off. So it's really that it's a very interesting slant, and I guarantee you it's not too far from the truth. Okay, and that's what's scary about it, or interesting about it, or ironic about it. So he's in there trolling them, how horrible are you, all this violence, you do this, you're all sick, and all that kind of crap. But he's so good at the trolling, because he's been doing it so that he actually gets the attention of Schism admin, who is like coming back at him, it's like going, yeah, you're one of those, you're one of the real good ones, you really like to play this shit, keep running your mouth. Keep running your mouth. It's like the troll's nightmare. Knock, knock, knock on the door. You run your mouth at people online until you find the wrong one. And all of a sudden, there's somebody in your front yard, or there's somebody you know it can happen. So, Schism admin shows him, I have your IP address. Now that scares the shit out of him, and he jumps up, and he's like, oops. So, we then see that his girlfriend is named Nova, that he's after her, but they kind of broke up, but he kind of wants to still be with her or whatever. So we're introduced to Richter and his gang, that idiot redneck with the mohawk and the black chick. They come in and break into his house, and he's all freaking out when he realizes that your trolling, has brought someone to your house. So that's all really funny. He's knocked out. He wakes. The dialogue in this movie is hilarious. He does come to, and it looks like he's in some kind of operation room or something. And then he wakes back up in his house, and he has two guns. He has two guns, like, surgically bolted to his bones. So they ain't coming off. And that freaks him out. He's got guns bolted to both hands. He gets the message that he has 24 hours to kill Nix. We then get introduced to Nix a little more, informed when she is informed that her next target is to kill Miles. There is a hilarious scene where he's trying to pee, and that's definitely, I shouldn't even say it, but it's definitely worthy of the pause button, because that is funny. And even though it's kind of a quick scene, you're kind of like, was that his dick? Really? Or was that like a prosthetic? What is it? I don't know. Freeze frame. Step. I don't know. Does that look real or not? Leave me the fuck alone. I just admitted that, didn't I? Oh, come on. You checked too. Was it real or was it a prosthetic? Tell me in the comments. Do you think it was his real dick? I don't. It was still funny. So, we seem trying to put on his pants. He can't. He ends up going outside, which is hilarious. He then ends up being followed back because he goes outside. He tries to talk to the cops and they get after him. He goes back inside and Nix actually shows up and he tries to talk to her about what happened, but she's not interested, and he runs. He does meet Nova at the park, jumps in her car. We also get to see kind of at this time that Nix doesn't really like Schism, so she's not, you're not really sure what's going on, but you can tell that she doesn't like Schism, and so you kind of do wonder, like, what is she doing involved in this? Because she obviously doesn't like them. When Miles tells Nova about what happened by pulling out his hands, she freaks out and maces him, which is not something he needs, leading to some hilarious scenes. Nova goes to the cops. That's the scenes where he gets into the clothes hamper and talks to that bum. That's hilarious. She goes to the cops. So now they know about what's happened. They know that this guy Miles, this new player in Schism, isn't really a player in Schism. But at the same time, they also know that this is their possible chance to get Nix, who's who they're after. These two detectives, especially this one that seems obsessed with getting to Nix. He goes to work. That's a hilarious scene when he goes to his friend for help about the phone tracker and stuff like that. And then Nix arrives, kills his boss, which nearly made me jump out of the chair because I did not see that coming. The scene was so intense that when all of a sudden a bullet goes through his head because Nix is behind him, I just like, I was up there. It was like, you may not believe that humans can be like a koala bear and land on the roof, but I just about did that. So Nix arrives, kills his boss. There's a big, huge fight, including the funny scene where his friend like shoots Nix, distracts Nix. I think she would have got Miles if he hadn't have did it, but he shoots her with a Nerf gun, and the Nerf thing hits her in the head, and she's just like, oh, really? That was funny. I'm laughing all the way through this movie for the most part. So you have this really cool car chase between Nix, and he gets into a car, she's on a bike. There's this really cool chase between them. They make it into a building. I'm like, what is a bulldog chase? What could a bulldog chase be? There was no bulldog in this movie. That's because my note actually says building chase, not bulldog chase. So they manage after the crash, and all of that, to get into the building, and there's this big, huge chase between them with lots of funny dialogue. Nix ends up telling him about why she's doing this. That when she got out of prison, that they offered to clear her record if she kills, if she works for them, and that he's the last kill, So he escapes, though, because he sees her trauma. We get to see that she's very traumatized by fire, So that's a little bit more wonderment about her. So he manages to escape because she gets traumatized by the fire. Nova, he ends up getting a hold of Nova, tells him the cops are after him, but he's going to leave the city, but not so fast. Because while he's on the phone with her, you see Richter and his gang behind her, and they take her hostage, and it's like, hey, 30 minutes. If you don't kill her within 30 minutes, we're going to cut this bitch up. So he now has motivation. We have the junkyard scene, which is hilarious. That's when Miles stumbles upon these two opposing gangs who are doing a drug deal, neither of whom trust each other. And he's like, oh shit, what am I into now? And they don't know who he is, and they think that he is with each one, so they're double-crossing each other. And then she appears with a really cool monologue, up there. I like it when she calls that guy the leather store daddy, and cheap leather store daddy or something. So you have the gang drug deal massacre is basically what it is, because she uses like I always want to call it a Tommy gun, a Gatling gun, and is just like mowing them down. Miles does end up killing Leather Daddy, and it's actually, I think, the first person that he actually killed, so he knows he's really in this now. So Miles gets caught, and he's in custody, and the detective tells him that they were going to use him as bait to catch, Nix. And he then ends up explaining to him, which gives us a lot more backstory, and that is that Nix is actually, that Richter guy, the leader of this particular area of schism, actually murdered his wife and his son, blew his family up in a car, and that only his daughter lived through it, but very traumatized, and that daughter is Nix. So you find out that this cop, that Nix is his daughter, and that's the reason he's so obsessed with her. So that was a revelation. However, at that moment, Detective Number 2 kills Detective Number 1. because he is part of Schism. He is corrupt. So he shows him a video of Richter, and who says it's the lightning round, and he has 30 minutes to kill Nix, or Nova dies. So Miles tracks Nova, and they are going to go save her. So he's going to go save her. He then, what happens that makes him find out that his friend, like the back of this truck opens up, and he thinks that they're going to like prove to him that they will kill Nova. So they kill this person that he thinks is Nova with a bag over their heads. And he's all upset about that, but it turns out to be his friend, the Nerf boy from the office, which was very sad. So he ends up meeting Nix in an alley. Nix does shoot him, and everyone is like really upset that is watching Schism, because they had all kind of fallen for Miles. So when Nix kills him, you're like, everybody's upset, which is really funny because they all hated him at the beginning. So we then see a cleaning crew come and pick up his body, and when they start to take him out of the back of the truck, they are both suddenly shot from inside the body bag because he is still alive. And then Nix arrives, and they get together, and we get to see a flashback where they made this deal. See, they made a deal back when the cop killed her father. When she showed up to kill Miles, he stopped her by saying, I know what's going on. I know they killed your parents. I know they killed your family. That makes her not shoot him and listen to what he has to say, at which point he then shows her her dad's body. And that's how they made this deal, to fake her shooting him. Although he is upset that she shot his bulletproof vest more than once, which was pretty funny. So they had made this deal. Now they go to Schism, where we have the big headquarter boss fight, which is full of really cool action. Richter tries to get away with Nova, and then Nix does a suicide run, which I did not see that coming, and that was pretty sad. She strapped herself with explosives and ran into the headquarter room and blew herself up with everyone else. I mean, maybe she just figured that she was so damaged that this is the only thing that she could do, because she was certainly alone now. Even her detective daddy was dead. You know what I mean? Plus, he had got her bird finger, and she loved using that bird finger, and the bird finger had been cut off. So yeah, she probably didn't have any desire to live. So Miles goes up to the roof where him and Richter have a big face-off. Miles is shot, but he ends up throwing Richter off the roof, where they show the splat, which was pretty satisfying. Nova goes her own way, so they didn't get together. It wasn't one of those, happy endings where he gets the partner to go off with him after saving him and all. No, she goes on her own way, becomes a comic writer or something, and Miles' job now is he's hunting down all the Schism executives. He's got a list, Egypt, Beirut, wherever. He's got all of these to Tokyo, and each one of them, because he's hacked in. So he's got the boss of each one, and he's going to be going after each boss of each area, each Schism boss. So that was pretty cool. And then the movie ends. I definitely gave it an 8 out of 10. Um, there was so much funniness in this movie. And you know me, I'm not a very comedic person, but this movie was hilarious. Samara Weaving was absolutely great. Daniel Radcliffe was absolutely great. He really did it. Very funny. The whole concept, I like that they kept zooming in on this particular little group of audience. There was the bathhouse guys and the Oriental guy that's sitting there eating chips or whatever. The two Bill and Ted clone teenagers that were watching it. The techie geeks. So they have these certain audience members that they zone into throughout the movie. I love the story. I love the comedic effects. And you know, I'm not a big fan of comedies. But every once in a while, I've got a decent. No, I don't. I started to say I had a decent supply of comedy, but I don't really. I may have, out of 2,400 Blu-rays and DVDs now, I may have 50. That's pretty bad. Now that you think about it, I may have 50 comedies out of 2,400. Wow. I mean, I'm just letting that sink in. But I have a great sense of humor. I'm funny, and I laugh my ass off. How come I don't have more comedies? I don't know. But that's the truth. I have maybe, okay, let's say 75, but that's like way on the outside. But I would say that I've got like 75 comedies, straight up comedies. But even then, they have to be like comedy action, comedy drama, comedy horror. But even then, it's like 75 maybe that I consider comedy. I may have some that other people would say, that's kind of comedy horror, or that's comedy whatever, comedy thriller, or whatever, and maybe I just don't think of it as comedy. So it could be that, but just straight up comedy that I know is comedy and consider comedy, 50 to 75 out of 2,400. You're not going to laugh a lot in my house. Well, you will. Just won't be from a movie, I guess. You'll laugh at what I say about non-horror comedy. I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry. I've only got 50 to 75 comedies. I don't know. And most of them are British, so you won't understand them. But love you, miss you, bye. Always remember, never forget, you are a very, very special person. Even if you have not woken up with two really high-powered guns strapped to your hands or bolted to your hands. And tell me what you think about this movie. Did you like it? Is it as funny to you as it is to me? Because Guns Akimbo is fucking hilarious. I mean, it's just hilarious. In my opinion. And I will see you in the next. Bye-bye.